the prison cell.
I'm Sydney Ahn.
I'm Vignette Bakayema.
And I'm Sophia Holmes. This is just a quick lineup of what we're casting our cells as, but you'll see that later in the project. Starting off strong, we have the nucleus as the warden. This is because the nucleus essentially runs the cell. It contains the cell's genetic material and regulates the activities of the cell, such as controlling growth and metabolic rates. So the nucleus is basically always in charge. You know who's in charge of the prison cell? The warden. The warden supervises security, manages prisoner files, and takes full responsibility for inmate care. What's more, as the genetic code housed in the nucleus determines how the cell will function, the schedules that the warden possesses determines how the prison will run. Now up, we have the nucleolus as the executive assistant. This is because the nucleolus acts as an assistant to the nucleus, helping produce and assemble ribosomes and transcribe ribosomal RNA. Without the help of the nucleolus, no ribosomes would be produced and no proteins would be synthesized, making the cell unable to function properly. Similarly, the executive assistant serves the warden by providing administrative support, preparing the payroll, and filing disciplinary reports. Without the help of the executive assistant, the prison cell and the warden would have a much harder time making the prison run smoothly, and because there wouldn't be as much organization. Now we have the smooth endoplasmic reticulum as the prisoners. This is because the smooth ER serves to synthesize various substances needed by the cell, such as carbohydrates, lipids, and steroid hormones. In layman's terms, the smooth ER does the dirty work of the cell. Similarly, inmates must often work in the kitchen, perform janitorial tasks, and help out in the warehouse. So while both the smooth ER and the prisoner's jobs are kind of repetitive and kind of menial, their work is still essential to the function of the cell and the prison as the whole. And furthermore, the rough endoplasmic reticulum would be cast as the correctional officers of the prison. This is because the rough ER's main occupation is the protein processing and synthesis, which includes the folding and storing of proteins. That means that the rough ER helps move the proteins along their path to the final destination, being outside of the cell. Correctional officers, similarly, must store prisoners in their cell by transporting them to their final destinations, which is inside the prison. And they even help watch over their dormitories. As the rough ER helps produce functioning proteins, correctional officers must help produce respectful and functioning inmates.
So on to the Golgi apparatus as a prison post office. So the Golgi apparatus acts as a station that receives proteins and lipid molecules from the endoplasmic reticulum, processes and sorts them and transports them through vesicles. It modifies proteins by attaching sugars through a process known as glycosylation. This determines their function and their destination. The prison post office, much like the Golgi apparatus, sorts and organizes inmates' mail and attaches stamps and addresses before finally shipping them off. The mitochondria acts as the prison lunch ladies. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It produces all of the energy necessary for the cell survival. Through the process of aerobic cellular respiration, energy from food can be moved to the bonds of ADP and P to create ATP, the energy that drives cellular function. Similarly, in the prison cell, lunch ladies cook meals and prepare snacks that power prisoners as they complete their tasks during incarceration. The chloroplasts as the police officers. Chloroplasts produce energy for plant cells through the process of photosynthesis. It collects light energy and builds sugars from carbon dioxide, converting these materials into useful energy. In the prison cell, police officers capture inmates, much like how chloroplasts capture sunlight, and direct the prisoners' labors to duties that contribute to the good of the prison. The vacuoles as prison storage rooms. Vacuoles store important nutrients and water for a cell. They can also store specific waste and toxins, which protect the cell from contamination. Storage rooms in the prison cell are similar to vacuoles. They can store prisoners' belongings, but more importantly, they detain and lock away dangerous weapons and firearms, akin to how vacuoles stow toxins away to help the cell.
So now we're moving on to the lysosomes as the custodial staff. Lysosomes are the waste disposal of the cell, meaning that they contain powerful enzymes and are responsible for breaking down old and worn-out materials and replacing them. Similarly, in the prison cell, the custodial staff are in charge of replacing damaged equipment, moving waste, and using chemicals to keep the facilities generally clean. And now we have the cytoskeleton as the prison bars. The cytoskeleton contains different structures, including microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate filaments that support and protect the cell while also helping it maintain its shape and overall structure and internal organization. In the prison cell, the prison bars keep the dangerous prisoners contained and organized, much like the different elements of the cytoskeleton do. The prison bars are also strong, allowing them to support the overall structure of the cell and the prison. The centrioles are the prison rats, or the snitches. The role of centrioles is to aid with cell division in animal cells by determining the location of organelles within the cell and helping with the formation of spindle fibers that separate the chromosomes during mitosis. In the same way, prison rats, or snitches, divide the prison, both through secret correspondence with prison officers and through the betrayal of certain prison gangs to other gangs. Now we have the plasma cell as the prison gates. The plasma cell membrane provides protection for the cell by regulating what exits and what enters the cell. This ensures that the cell contains what it needs to survive, but is still able to maintain a stable internal environment. In the same way, in the prison cell, the prison gates provide security and ensure that the prisoners remain inside the prison and things that shouldn't be in the prison stay outside of the prison. They also control what enters and what exits, which helps maintain the overall organization. And that's the end! Woohoo!